Hello, my friends. Jeff, Tax Rescue CPA. Today, I want to talk to you about how to keep tax filing from becoming a total nightmare. Now, we've all been there, tax season. You love it or you hate it, but it's something we have to deal with. And I've got some tips that will make it a little bit easier with a little bit of planning to get through tax season next time and feel confident that you've come up with the right answer. So let's jump in. Tip number one is to start early. You don't want to wait to prepare your taxes to the last minute. This is not an April 15th, April 14th even type of a task. It'll put a lot of pressure on you and it will reduce your options as to what you can actually do. So jump in there earlier. Ideally, March is a really good time of year. You can get them done in February. And if you're looking for that big refund, then of course, start as early as you can. But actually, on the flip side, you really don't want to start your taxes in January because the people that send you the forms, they have until the end of January to do so. So a lot of times what can happen is you file your taxes toward the end of January and you get another form at the end of the deal. And we'll talk about amendment in a second. But you want to wait until all the documents are in hand and then jump in there and get started. All right, tip number two, technology is your friend. This is a situation where we don't want to go back to paper and pencil and calculators. Believe me, tax software today is like the GPS of tax season. It can guide you through some pretty tricky areas of the tax code and set you up by asking for the right information in the right place. So it's really something you want to let be your friend in this scenario. The cost of tax software is relatively affordable. I kind of equate this to changing your own oil. This is always something I think about. I, for one, generally change my own oil, and I can find that the parts and supplies for that can cost almost as much as getting the oil changed by a shop, but I get the confidence of knowing it's done right, and I can control the whole thing. This may be where you come down on taxes. The tax software, the cost may not necessarily be cheaper than having somebody else do it, but you can retain control and know what's going on. Tip number three is to focus on deductions and credits. Deductions, to start off with, deductions are what reduce your taxable income. And there are a slew of different deductions out there that you can use to reduce your taxable income. Credits, on the other hand, reduce your tax. So after the tax has been figured, the credits that you qualify for will reduce the tax dollar for dollar. They can really add up. Tip number four. Doing your taxes is not rocket science. It may seem like some sort of cryptic puzzle, but when you really get down to it, it's just about crunching some numbers. The important thing here is that you pay attention to the details and you crunch the numbers correctly. You put the right numbers in the right boxes is another way to put it. Sometimes the numbers can get confused. You put you have the right box, but you get the number wrong. Sometimes you can put the right number in the wrong box. I could give you example after examples, but it's very important at this point that you get the right number in the right box. So be sure to double check this, triple check it before you click submit and send it off to the IRS. If you do, and you can see other videos I have about amending, but if you do, this is where amending your tax return comes in. And don't get too intimidated by this. Amending is just your way of saying, hey, I messed up. Here's a better shot at it. Let me do this one over. Okay, tip number five, break it down into small pieces. Preparing your taxes can seem like an overwhelming, daunting task. It's a big process and there's a lot to it, but sometimes breaking it down into smaller pieces can make it more manageable. So let's break it down into three smaller pieces. First, gather all your documents. Get all those forms that showed up in the mail or through a secure email, they were mailed to you or emailed to you. Get all of those source documents. The second thing is to look for your deductions and your credits, the support for those. So you may be going through credit card statements or statements from other medical support providers that you've paid, but gather all your deductions and the information you need to claim your credits together. And then the third step is to then start completing the forms. Get the software out, start filling in the boxes, answering the questions, and complete the forms. And then, as I said before, double check everything to make sure it's right before you send it off to the IRS. Now, step 6, this is really huge. You've just dealt with all of your tax information and what you had to go through to get your tax return filed. Now, plan for next year. This is where the information is freshest in your mind about how to do this, what information you needed, and what you could do better for the next year in order to get a better result and an easier tax preparation process. One of the things that is a really good thing to look at right now is your withholding. If you're an employee, you've got an answer as to whether you have enough withholding or not at the bottom line of your tax return, which is to say, are you getting the refund you wanted, or do you owe too much? Now is the time to contact your employer and change your withholding so that you get a different result for the next year. And that brings us to tip number 7, call in a pro. Sometimes you just need a hand, and there's no shame in asking for help. Maybe your tax situation got a little more complicated this year. Maybe you're a small business owner and you're just not sure that you're getting all the deductions you should, and you don't want to leave anything on the table. Now is the time to contact a CPA, contact an enrolled agent, or even an unlicensed tax preparer. In fact, I have got a special report right here that lists 5 questions to ask before you hire any tax preparer. Get the help you need now so the tax return gets filed correctly the first time and you can avoid the headaches down the road. I hope you found these tips helpful. The taxes aren't going to go away. We need to face them, and through some diligent planning and forethought, you can conquer the process and successfully complete and file your taxes. Thanks for watching.